Three brothers stood on the ashes of the old world. Kronos was down. The Titans were past the roots of the earth in the pit. What was left was everything, and it had to go three ways. They drew lots, lined, witnessed, fair. Zeus drew the sky, Poseidon drew the sea, Hades drew the dead. Not a mountain, not a coastline with 1,000 harbours. Every human being who has ever stopped breathing, and every one who has not started yet. There is no story about him arguing, no shouting, no grudge kept warm for 3,000 years. That was his brother's department. He did not ask for a second draw. He turned round and went down. In 3,000 years of stories, he almost never comes back up. There are no tours. The kingdom starts at a gate, not a door with a guard and a queue behind it. A boundary you cross once, in one direction, carrying nothing. Then the water, the Styx. The gods swore their oaths on it, because it was the one river even they could not take back. For everyone else, it was simpler than that. It was the edge, moving slowly, with a far bank you were expected to reach. Beyond it, the ground flattens out. The fields of asphodel. Grey flower, grey light, no weather at all. Most of the dead are there. Not punished, not rewarded. Present in enormous numbers. Permanently. At the centre, a hall of cold stone. A throne in it. One figure on the throne, no queue at the doors, and nothing on the walls. He never had a festival. Nobody built him a temple on high ground with a view of the sea. When they gave him something, they gave it downward, into a trench, at night, with their faces turned away. He ruled the largest population in existence. Not one of them chose him. Not one of them left. The gifts came out of the war. Under the earth, 3 craftsmen had been shut in the dark since before the gods were born. The Cyclopes. They were let out, and they paid the debt in iron and fire. Lightning for Zeus, a trident for Poseidon. For the third brother, a helmet. It was not armour. It stopped nothing. You put it on, and you were not there. So in the war that made the world, he charged at nothing. He walked into the old king's hall, took the weapons out of the room, and Kronos stood watching an empty floor. No thunder over the ridge. Nothing worth painting on a vase. Just a gap in the room where a god was standing. His brothers were handed weapons that announced them. One you could see from any coastline. One you could feel through the floor of your house. He was handed the opposite. Think about what that means for a king of the dead. He does not need to be watched in order to be working. He does not need to be believed in to be in the room. A king you can see can be measured. He never let anyone take the measurement. One mortal is worth the detour. Sisyphus, a king of Corinth. Clever. Clever in the way that ends badly. Death came for him on the ordinary schedule. Sisyphus put death in chains and left him in a back room, so nobody died. Not the sick, not the old. Not men lying on a battlefield with spears in them. For a while, the world simply stopped ending. It was corrected. He tried again. He told his wife to leave his body unwashed and unburied and thrown out with the rubbish, then stood on the wrong bank, complaining that he had never been given his rights. He was let up to see to it. He did not come back down. They fetched him, and here is the sentence. No fire, no blade, no hooks. A rock and a hill. Push the rock to the top of the hill. Near the crest it goes, turns over, rolls the whole way down. And he walks down after it, because there is nothing else on the list. That is not a temper. That is a schedule. Tempers cool. Schedules do not. He is not the devil. The horns, the pitchfork, the fire, the whole business of tempting people into things, all of it arrived later, out of a different religion, and got hung on him because he happened to be the landlord of the underground. Look at the weapon. 2 prongs, not 3, not a farm tool. He does not want your soul. There is nothing to sign, nothing to bargain over. No version of this where you talk him up or down. He judges, and judging is mostly reading. What you did is already written by the time you arrive, and he did not write it. The Romans called him Pluto, and the word is about wealth, not a joke about corpses. The ore sits in the ground. The seed goes down before anything comes up. Every valuable thing anyone has ever pulled out of the earth came out of his half of the settlement. And he does not hunt. There is no chase in any of it, no hound sent out, no hand on the shoulder in a dark street. You are walking towards him now, at the usual speed. So is everyone you have ever loved. He has never had to take a step. You can climb Olympus in a weekend. People do it in trainers. There is a hut near the top, and a queue at the summit for photographs. The sky god's house is a graded path with a car park at the bottom. Thunder has a forecast now. It arrives with a percentage. The underworld was never somewhere you could go and come back from with pictures. No summit, no season, no opening hours. Nobody has surveyed it because the survey has no way home. And it has not had a quiet century. Every funeral held anywhere on earth tonight is his right, run by people who have never heard the name and would not say it if they had. Every grave is his ground. Nobody had to keep believing. Belief was never the mechanism. 3 brothers reached into a helm on the ashes of the old world. One drew a mountain you can walk up before lunch. One drew water and spent 3,000 years wanting the mountain. The third drew the only kingdom that was never going to need defending. His brothers had to hold on to theirs. Nothing down here has ever had to be held. It comes to him.